He's one of my good friends, longtime friends. I've seen him work from the bottom to the top, back down to the bottom, and back to the top again. I don't know. I'm just kidding. Anthony Irwin is on the phone with us right now. Hello, Anthony.
Man, I guess I missed that trip to the bottom the second time.
I'm kidding. I was joking.
Well, no, that's the nice thing about, partaking in adult beverages is that you can just skip over just certain stages of your life. You're set. That never happens.
You don't notice when the bad happens.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, I know that's like one of our favorite things to do is just enjoy a good cocktail. What's your favorite right now on the bar?
Oh, well, I'm on a big old-fashioned kick, so making those for myself is always kind of nice. I smoke it and do the whole 9 yards and all that, but right now I'm sipping on a nice glass of Pinot Noir.
Oh.
I don't know if I'm not supposed to announce that. Should I not? Should I not?
No, you're good.
I'm like LeBron James, man. I show up to work with a glass of wine in my hand.
And then you're hungover the next game and drop almost 40 points.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Hey, LeBron, me, Michael Jordan playing well hungover. Like that's us.
That's it. I want to see that monument. Actually, we should have either like someone Photoshop that. Like,
yeah, just Photoshop you hanging on Harrison like it's MJ and Scotty in the flu game.
Exactly. Yeah.
We'll hold like a bottle.
First question, and it's the most important question that I want to know. Have you seen Cobra Kai?
So I'm annoyed at myself because I saw it on Netflix the other night, and I told myself, oh yeah, I'll for sure tune into that. But I also want to, because there's been a bit of a gap between the last season and this one, and I wanted to like refresh my memory on everything that's been going on with more than like the 30-second clip of like, in case you missed it and all that. And I never actually got around to watching the latest season, but I will say that this is kind of more like based on what I've heard, it feels like more of a roller coaster this season than in prior ones.
Really?
So that's kind of exciting to look forward to.
Well, I'm heartbroken because I thought Mark had watched it and he has not, and then I was hoping that you had watched it and you guys have not. So I'm kind of wait, Mike, have you seen the newest one?
Finished the last episode last night.
Okay, so yeah, it's just Mike and I now. And
I don't mind spoilers, Anthony.
Well,
you don't want to hear any spoilers, right?
I'd rather not. But like, I do think like all of these shows are dropping everything because everything's been on a break. Like COVID has made it so that all of these shows and all these movies are just kind of being dumped on us. So I feel like this is about as cluttered as our content machines have been in a really long time. Like I find, look, I work from home, and my job before I have to work later at night is to make sure that my daughter doesn't die. And I can do that and watch TV and watch movies at the same time. And I feel overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that I feel like I have to catch up on right now.
Oh, yeah. Do you feel like that with like all the Marvel movies that were coming out and just
oh my gosh,
like Disney Plus?
I still haven't seen Eternals, which I guess is an okay thing because even Marvel was like, yeah, we screwed that up.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about it. We aren't even going to mention it. It's Spider-Man. We're just not. It happened. Sorry, Angelina Jolie, and sorry, the short guy from Thrones. That happened, and we're just going to move on.
Yeah. That's pretty much what happened, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat as you when it comes to the FOMO. It's just like to be honest, I checked out during Avengers Endgame, and then all of a sudden we're at Spider-Man 3,
which was amazing.
Yeah, and I still have not seen that. So
you're missing out on that one.
So I need to catch up with all the Spider-Mans, and I'm just like, damn it.
Have you seen the latest Spider-Man one, Anthony?
Oh yeah, no, I saw it. I was telling my wife because I spend so much time online just kind of scanning and waiting for Woj tweets that I'm always like I'm in perpetual fear of having stuff spoiled. Like for example, I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm a big fan of MTV's The Challenge every year.
Uh-huh.
Like I watch that every single year, and the final hadn't even happened yet, and I had people tweeting about the fact that whoever won. And I was like, oh come on, like we can. I'm fine with saying that, like, all right, there are some shows that we all watch live, and some like Succession is kind of like that, where we all watch it live, and if it gets spoiled, then you know what you should have kind of muted on your timeline, whatever. But like with the challenge where it's actually kind of sort of a live sport, like we're spoiling live sports. How are we doing this? So anyway, like the reason I mentioned that is because the new Spider-Man was coming out, and it's probably going to be the biggest movie event of last year.
Yeah.
And I told Jen, my wife, and I told Jen, I was like, hey, is it okay if once Avery is down for bed and you're probably going to be getting ready for bed anyway, can I just go catch it on opening night? And that way I don't have to worry about having it spoiled. And she said, well, I guess. She was kind of bummed because we've watched basically all of the major Marvel movie releases when this happened. But then I was thinking about it, so I watched the 11:30 showing, and I waited for my daughter to be tucked away, and I waited for Jen to kind of tuck into bed, and then I snuck out of the house at 11:30 my time, and it felt like I was committing adultery with with Spider-Man.
You're like, oh yeah, show me what you got, James Holland. Oh, what? You brought all the other Spider-Mans? Oh, that's so hot.
Shoot those webs. Shoot those webs, Peter.
Yeah.
Shoot them.
Show me your multiverse.
The whole house is dark. Like the whole neighborhood is dark, and I'm just like I keep my car in neutral and pushing it out of the neighborhood.
Oh, for Spider-Man. That's great. That is amazing.
Like, did you ever see yourself doing that? Like, I'm sure, like for me, my dad was a POS, so I'm sure he did something similar to that, but he did not go see Spider-Man. So like our generation, like, do you ever think about how our generation is gonna we're gonna do sneaky stuff like that, but it's going to I was just trying to go to this video, this like for us, the Laker game. It's just all my friends that would talk about sports. That's all it is. I promise. Like, I really cheating on me.
There's some nights where I'll have a recording that runs a little later or whatever, and Jen will pop her head in here, and I'm huddled in the corner of my office with only my screen lights on, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm recording. I swear I'm recording a podcast. I swear I'm recording a podcast." Like, that's just where we're at now.
Why are your pants off? Because I'm not on Zoom. The camera's
I'm
off.
talking to Mark. What do you want?
Yeah. Hi, Jen. I'm in the background.
The door closes. You're just like, show me what you got. So on to Lakers now. The Lakers are now again 500. This seems to be a common occurrence throughout the season.
Here we are again.
And to be honest, with the Russell Westbrook thing, I'm getting more irritated each and every game. And so there was that quote that he said after the Timberwolves game where he just shrugged off the 9 turnovers and how he shot 0 for 5 from 3. What do you think is going to happen by the trade deadline? Are the Lakers going to look for another superstar, or is this going to be the content team that we just have to settle with?
I guess neither. Can we just go back to committing adultery with Spider-Man? This is such a sad thing to talk about. But all right, so
let me explain myself.
On one hand, the Lakers, they clearly aren't going to be content. They are now at 500 before they play Sacramento tonight, and we'll see how that game goes. And on the one hand, you look at the standings, and they are right there in this big old clump for the 5, 6, 7, 8 seeds. And you would say okay, that means they're in contention. They're probably going to make the playoffs and all of that. But that isn't where anybody expected this team to be at this stage of the game. And, yeah, you could point to injuries. LeBron missed some time. Anthony Davis is currently out. The entire team, basically half the organization, caught COVID. And you can, if you're contextualizing everything, you can kind of see how we arrived here. But even when everybody was healthy, or most of those people were healthy, we spent the first chunk of the season saying, oh, well, if only they had Trevor Ariza. This isn't Trevor Ariza that they acquired from Orlando. This is 36-year-old Trevor Ariza. And the fact that he was somehow some linchpin to their season is really kind of indicative of some missteps that I think they had back in the offseason. And Russell Westbrook is this lightning rod of criticism. And for like, I understand the guy's making $45 million this year. He's in line to make $47 million next year. When you're taking up almost half of a team's cap, you are going to catch some criticism. And I think to answer your question, I don't think they're going to sit idly by at the trade deadline, but I also don't think they have the assets that would allow them to go out and get a third star. I don't even think they have the flexibility to replace the third star that they thought would fit into this equation. So I think their best case scenario is probably moving Talen Horton-Tucker and Kendrick Nunn for like Jeremy Grant is probably what everybody is kind of hoping for in the Lakers organization.
Man, so are you – because I have to think it's like I know there's plenty of options in the offseason, but the fact that they went with, Westbrook, mainly because he was a name, superstar, whatever you'd like to call him, do you feel like that the way how the Lakers look at, that like when they sign players, they look at the superstar, like, do you feel like that time, like it's done, like that shouldn't be considered anymore, and they should have focused more on just how well, how well the I guess them could be like on the floor. I mean, do you think it's just their old way of thinking? I feel like the Lakers are just still stuck in that old mindset of, we need to, like Jerry Buss, star power, that kind of thing. Do you think it's just kind of dead now, or do you think there's even they just messed up like this year?
Well, I think that kind of separates this generation of NBA teams, and frankly, like sports teams, is that, and I think the NBA is unique in the sense that if you are acquiring superstars, they have to fit. It's not like, back in the day, you could kind of sort of get away with, just pursuing stars and really focusing on stars. And that talent would kind of win out because the NBA back then wasn't as intelligent, I think, as it is right now in terms of team building and coaching and scouting and the way that all of these guys kind of tailored their games then is very different from how they tailor it now.
Yeah.
And, baseball, you could still get away with star pursuance because it's a team sport technically, but it's a team sport in that, like, you just kind of aggregate a whole bunch of individual performances. Football, I think there's some fit to it, and there is some fit cohesion, but if you have a really good quarterback and you have decent skill position players, like, you're going to be really good on offense. And then defense is if you have Aaron Donald, like, your defense is going to be pretty freaking good. Basketball, though, is kind of different, though. You have, you need spacing. You need, if in this case, Russell Westbrook, his inability to hit three-pointers really makes LeBron and AD have to work that much harder. And, like I said before, if you just had Russell Westbrook and LeBron and AD, and those guys just took turns in a more ISO-heavy league, that'd be fine. That'd be they would have racked up championships left and right, in the 90s or something like that.
Yeah.
But this is very different, where it was the Golden State Warriors from a few years back, where they had Steph and Clay and Draymond and Kevin Durant. Like, it wasn't just that those guys were all some of the best players at their positions, but they all fit absolutely perfectly. And now it's not just enough to be incredibly individually talented. You also have to fit collectively. And that's where I think this Lakers organization is kind of behind the eight ball in that they think that talent wins out, but it really does matter.
We don't want to take up too much of your time, so last question in 30 seconds. We don't want your wife to question where you are right now. So,
my pants are on, I swear.
Last question. Andre Drummond's NFT did not do well, but we're just wondering, did you win that auction?
I tried. I was hoping to win it with like a bid of $5, and I lost out. I think the guy who got it was like $7.50. So I'm really kind of bummed that I missed out. But I'm glad that Drummond was able to get that extra $2.50 is a big difference to somebody with that bad of an idea.
And I think also they got to meet him in person, which was another perk for what it's worth.
Well, I think he has. He like, if he was to find out that he was going to meet me, I don't think he would have sold it. If I would have made the $7.50 bid, he would have sold it to the person who sold it for $5 just to avoid meeting.